Hey guys, so in this video I'm going to be handing you over to my lovely mum who's going to give you the rundown on how she makes sourdough. I'll be sure to put the recipe in the description. I hope you enjoy.
We began making sourdough about a year ago after we were gifted a starter. I'm definitely no expert at making sourdough bread, and at first I was terrified that I was going to kill the starter or waste a whole lot of flour and fail. But as time has gone on, I have gained more confidence and found a few recipes that work really well for us. The recipe I'm making today is a sandwich sourdough loaf, and this recipe makes 4 loaves. I found the recipe online and I really liked it because it told me what time to do the different steps, which took the guesswork out of each process. Sourdough generally takes 24 hours to ferment before you can bake it, so I begin the process first thing in the morning at around 6 AM. This recipe is pretty forgiving, but I do measure out 50 grams of my starter into a clean jar. Then I add 100 grams of flour and 100 grams of filtered water, which is important because our tap water has chlorine in it. Give it a good stir and then cover it lightly. I use either a scrap of muslin or even a chucks cloth with an elastic band. And then put the jar somewhere warm, and you can leave it until around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. By this time, your mixture in the jar should have risen to around double the height and have lots of bubbles. I use a large metal bowl and scrape all of the contents of the jar into it. Then I add 3 cups of flour and 2 cups of water. I mix it until it's all combined and then cover it with cling wrap. Around 8 o'clock at night, I make the dough. To the ingredients that are already in my bowl, I add 2 eggs, 4 teaspoons of salt, 2 cups of milk, 1 cup of yogurt and 4 tablespoons of honey. Then I begin adding the flour. I start by adding 5 cups of flour and mix this by hand. Once this is mixed in, I continue adding flour, maybe another 5 or 6 cups, but really going by feel. When it feels not too sticky, I dump it out onto the bench to knead it, and add flour as I go if it's sticking to the bench. My kneading technique might be a bit unorthodox, but it seems to work. It takes around 5 minutes, but you'll begin to feel a change in the stretchiness and the springiness of the dough. When it's ready, I put it in a large soup pot to ferment overnight. The next morning, it's time to divide the dough up into the 4 loaves. I get the pans ready by lining them with baking paper and dump the dough on the bench. You can weigh the dough to make sure it's evenly divided, but I just go by sight. A little bit of flour stops it sticking to the bench. Shaping the loaves can be done many different ways, but this is what works for me. I start by flattening the dough into a flat rectangle and then basically fold it into a triangle. Then I roll it into a rectangular loaf shape, building tension, turning it and rolling it into itself more. When it's smooth and I can feel that it is tight and has good tension, I place it in the loaf tin. When I've done this for all 4 loaves, I cover them with tea towels and leave them to rise for several hours. Around 10 o'clock, they're ready to bake. I use a razor blade to score them, which helps the loaves to rise and expand, then place them in the oven at 180 degrees Celsius. It takes around 35 to 40 minutes to cook, but I do prefer to check them with a digital food thermometer. It's ready once the internal temperature is 90 degrees Celsius. When they are done, I like to remove the loaves from the tin after a few minutes, then rub a light layer of butter over the top. This makes the crust softer and also makes them look even better. For those of you who are new to sourdough, don't be intimidated by the recipes that give you all the rules. Just find a recipe that looks manageable and give it a go.
Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. YouTube thinks you might like this video, so go ahead and give it a watch.